Hong Kong has grown to be one of the largest financial centers and is among the most developed cities on the planet. It acts as a bridge from the east to the west. It has the largest number of skyscrapers of any city in the world, and its success speaks for itself. However, the national security law was passed in 2020 and it devastated the city and its businesses. As a result, Hong Kong has become unrecognizable from its past. But now, as time has passed and things have changed, how is Hong Kong doing? In order to understand how the economy is doing now and where it is going, we have to take a small excursus over how Hong Kong grew to such a vital economy. In 1841, the British did what they are most known for: bad weather and colonize. In this case, it was colonize. As a result, Hong Kong was established as a colony of the British Empire. In 1898, after the Second Opium War, Britain obtained a 99-year lease on the city. Hong Kong started to boom as the years progressed, as it acted as a port from the east to the west. However, nothing like what was still to come. The open door policy of the PRC announced by Deng Xiaoping at the end of 1978 marked a new era for Hong Kong's economy. As China increased its engagement in international trade and investment, Hong Kong's role emerged as China's main provider of commercial and financial services. From 1978 to 1997, trade between Hong Kong and the PRC grew at an average rate of 28% per year. During the same time, Hong Kong moved its labor-intensive activities to the mainland to reap the benefits of the cheaper labor. Hong Kong integrated its economy with the Pearl River Delta more and more over these years. The Pearl River Delta consists of Guangdong, Hong Kong and Macau. Instead of exporting pearls as the name suggests, it is mostly known for producing cheap knockoffs but also more and more advanced products as time progressed. Many of you will be familiar with Shenzhen, which is part of Guangdong and is just across the border of Hong Kong. Shenzhen is the tech factory of the world. As more and more of the rest of the world transferred its factories to China, Hong Kong profited from its trade, as it was a bridge to the west with its massive port which allowed for free trade. Hong Kong was also attractive for multinational companies because of the low taxation rate and the economy, but also the general freedom, which the mainland didn't offer. In 1997, the 99-year lease ended of England, and Hong Kong was fully transferred to the PRC. However, Hong Kong maintained separate governing and economic systems from that of mainland China under the one country, two systems principle. Or at least it did. 1997 was also the year the Asian financial crisis hit Hong Kong. In just 3 days, the Hang Seng dropped 23%. The Hang Seng is the largest index, which is comprised of the largest companies listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. The Hong Kong dollar, the currency of Hong Kong, has been pegged to the US dollar since 1983. American investor George Soros led the attack by betting on the depegging of the Hong Kong dollar to the US dollar, which could have devastated the city's monetary system. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority, however, managed to keep the Hong Kong dollar pegged to the US dollar. Not so lucky were the countries of Malaysia, Indonesia or South Korea, whose respective currencies were brought to the ground. After the crisis was finally over in 2003, Hong Kong recovered and managed to increase its GDP from $161 billion to $363 billion in 2019. In 2020, China introduced the national security law for Hong Kong, which encompasses multiple different areas and ultimately reduced Hong Kong's autonomy. The result was large uprising. Hong Kong's economy was impacted heavily, but 2020 was also the year a certain virus was spread quickly throughout the world and has shut down much of it. The impact this had on Hong Kong's economy and how Hong Kong is doing now is what we are exploring next. Under the national security law, Hong Kong's total score in freedom in the world has dropped by 12 points, from 55 to 43. The score is measured by an organization called Freedom House and reports on political rights and civil liberties. The score declined by 9 points in 2021 alone, marking that year the third worst decline globally after Myanmar and Afghanistan, which are not exactly known as the freest countries. Hong Kongers enjoyed a relatively free and open internet before the introduction of the national security law, but internet censorship has become increasingly common. To date, multiple websites have been blocked inside of Hong Kong. While this is still a far cry from conditions on the mainland, where the Great Firewall blocks thousands of websites, it does represent a significant change to the once so free Hong Kong. All this impacts the ongoing business of companies. Government regulations are a massive factor when companies decide in which countries they want to do business in. But possibly the most important factor for a company is human capital. A fitting workforce is key in growing and sustaining a business. And after all, most CEOs don't want to do all the work by themselves. Hong Kong has seen its largest dip in population ever between mid-2021 and mid-2022, with around 113,000 residents leaving the country within that year. A big part of the population leaving went to the UK. Since January 2021, the UK created a new visa which allowed Hong Kongers to settle in the UK, as long as they were born before 1997. Within about 1.5 years of issuing the new visa, over 130,000 applicants have been approved by the government. At the same time, immigration into the country has come to an almost complete standstill. Negative population growth is never good for an economy, as there are less heads producing goods and earning money, therefore less people paying taxes. That negative population growth, coupled with an aging population, is also a recipe for disaster, as the old have to be cared for. Hong Kong makes a lot of its money, about 27% in 2018, from land sales. There is also more money coming in by leasing the land. Now we take a closer look at the mainland. Their economy has been disrupted heavily as well from 2020 on, as China's zero-virus strategy has been going on for longer than anyone expected. This disruption of business in China impacts Hong Kong heavily, because the mainland is by far its largest trading partner. China also faces large problems with its real estate markets due to defaults from some of its largest developers, which can impact the Hong Kong real estate markets too, as many buyers of the Hong Kong real estate are mainlanders. The stock market in Hong Kong isn't doing too well either. Many Chinese companies are listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange for non-Chinese to trade. The benchmark index Hang Seng is in 2022 at its lowest level since May of 2009, as many investors lost confidence in the market. Hong Kong's economy is technically in a recession after seeing 2 3-month periods in a row of contradiction in 2022. On some rather good news, their GDP has recovered by some after the large hit in 2020, meaning its economy has come back slightly. But now, what is about the future of Hong Kong? I think it is at this point important to mention that it's impossible to predict the future of Hong Kong. But we can make some assumptions and try out some predictions. First of all, the growth which China showed until 2020 is unlikely to continue, as no economy can grow in the double digits forever. A reduced growth in the mainland will hurt Hong Kong's economy in the future to come. More specifically on Hong Kong itself, it is likely that less and less international companies are willing to move to Hong Kong with those uncertainties mentioned, and investors love stability, but also hate government regulations. What is safe to say is that the mainland will continue to strengthen its grip on Hong Kong, which will cause even more businesses to think twice about bringing their business there and possibly choose another financial center like Singapore. If you're interested in more content about economies in Asia, check out this recommended video next and subscribe.